The sentence is read. The courtroom empties. Family members cry. Attorneys pack their files. The judge steps down. But the real moment doesn't happen there. It comes later. In silence. In transit. In the back of a secured vehicle. Wrists restrained, staring at a window that barely shows the outside world. No more arguments. No more appeals in that moment. No more voices speaking on your behalf. Just distance. And then, the final steel gate closes behind you. That sound is not loud. It doesn't echo dramatically. But the women who enter Indiana's prison system say it is the sound that changes everything. Because that gate does not suggest possibility. It confirms permanence. Some of the women arriving here are serving 10 years. Some are serving 20. Some have sentences that stretch beyond a lifetime. And one once escaped, triggering a nationwide manhunt that exposed vulnerabilities inside the system. But before headlines, before controversy, before identity becomes a label, there is intake, a room that feels procedural, efficient, impersonal, fingerprints pressed onto glass, a photo taken under harsh lighting, standard issued, clothing handed across a counter, personal belongings cataloged, sealed, removed. Shoelaces taken. Jewelry removed. Civilian identity reduced to an inmate number. Rules are explained in a steady, emotionless tone. When to stand. When to speak. When to eat. When to sleep. No physical contact. Movement controlled. Privacy gone. The first walk down a corridor feels longer than it is. Doors open in sequence. Then close in sequence. Click. Pause. Click. Many women describe the moment the transport gate shuts behind them as the true psychological breakpoint. Not anger. Not fear. Finality. It is the realization that life on the outside continues. Without you. Birthdays will pass. Graduations will happen. Holidays will arrive and leave. And for 85% of the women entering these facilities, they are mothers. Which means when that gate closes, it closes on children too. Some leave toddlers behind. Some leave teenagers who pretend not to cry. Some leave newborns who may not remember their faces. Inside these walls, time is measured differently. Outside, children grow up. Inside, routine replaces freedom. And in that first night, when the lights dim but never fully turn off, the silence feels heavier than any sentence spoken in court. Because the system does not shout. It simply continues. And you are now inside it. How does someone survive decades inside? And what happens when someone refuses to accept it? Addie was 25 when she entered prison. 16-year sentence. 2 daughters waiting outside. At 25, most people are still deciding who they want to become. Addie's decision was made for her, inside a courtroom. She admits anger shaped her decisions. She admits she hurt people. She does not shift blame. But prison did something unexpected. It forced stillness. And stillness can be confronting. There are no distractions here. No constant movement. No late-night noise from the outside world. Just time. Time to replay choices. Time to question patterns. Time to see where the cycle began. Her own mother had been incarcerated. Addie remembers visiting rooms as a child. Plastic chairs. Short conversations. Guards watching. Now she sits on the other side of that same system. Now her daughters wait in line to see her. This is one of the quiet themes inside women's prisons. Generational patterns. Not excuses. Patterns. Many inmates describe childhood instability. Addiction in the family. Abuse. Absence. Homes where survival came before stability. For some, prison feels like a sudden collapse. For others, it feels like the next chapter in a story that was already heading in this direction. Prison becomes less of a fall and more of a continuation. Martha has served nearly 20 years. When she entered, smartphones didn't exist. Streaming didn't exist. Social media wasn't dominant. During a medical visit outside prison walls, she noticed how quickly everything had changed. People staring at screens. Payment methods she didn't recognize. Conversations about technology she had never heard of. She once asked what an iPod was. Not as a joke, as a genuine question. Time moved on. She did not. Her daughters were teenagers when she left. Now they are adults with families of their own. She has missed graduations, weddings, ordinary dinners, moments that cannot be replayed. Her greatest fear? Freedom. Not the gate opening, but the world beyond it. Inside prison, the schedule is predictable. Wake up, count, meals, movement, lights out. Outside, there are decisions, bills, technology, noise, independence. After decades of structure, freedom can feel overwhelming. Because structure, even when imposed, creates certainty. And certainty can feel safe. Because for some women, prison becomes routine. And routine can feel safer than uncertainty. But not everyone adapts quietly. Sarah Pender entered prison with a 110-year sentence. Not 10. Not 20. 110, a number that mathematically extends beyond a single lifetime. College educated. No prior felony convictions. Convicted in connection to a double homicide involving her boyfriend. From the beginning, the case divided opinion. She maintains she did not orchestrate the murders. She has stated she was present, but not the planner. Prosecutors argued she played a central role. The jury sided with the prosecution. The sentence reflected that conclusion. Inside prison, long sentences create a different psychological environment. When release is distant or nearly impossible, hope shifts that IT becomes abstract. Years into her sentence, something happened that stunned the system that in 2008. She escaped, not through force, not through chaos, but through coordination. With help from a corrections officer, someone trusted with enforcing the system, she left in a prison transport van, passing through gates that were designed to prevent exactly that. By the time authorities realized what had happened, she was gone. For months, authorities searched across state lines. Her name circulated nationally. The story raised questions about oversight, trust, and vulnerability within the facility. How does someone serving 110 years walk out? The corrections officer who assisted her later faced charges and served time. His career ended. His life redirected into the very system he once worked for. Investigators later described Sarah as persuasive and strategic, someone capable of identifying weaknesses. She described herself differently. She said she was desperate. Desperation under extreme confinement can look different depending on who is telling the story. For 4 months, she remained outside prison walls, living quietly, avoiding detection. A temporary freedom built on borrowed time. Then she was located, arrested without violence. Returned, the consequences inside prison were immediate and severe. Long-term segregation. More than 20 hours a day alone, minimal interaction. Minimal privileges. Limited external contact. A controlled space within a controlled space. Isolation changes perception of time. Without normal social cues, days blur. Conversations shrink to brief exchanges. Sound becomes mechanical. Doors, footsteps, distant echoes. Identity shifts inward. When human interaction decreases, internal dialogue increases. Some describe isolation as quiet punishment. Others describe it as psychological compression. Time doesn't move faster or slower. IT simply feels heavier. And the escape, once a moment of defiance, becomes part of a longer sentence. Was this manipulation? Or survival instinct under extreme confinement? Inside Indiana's women's prisons, life is timed. Not loosely scheduled. Timed. Meals, 15 minutes. Recreation, limited hours. Movement, strictly scheduled. Count times. Head counts. Door checks. The day begins and ends with verification. The environment is controlled. Doors open electronically. Lights dim but never fully go dark. Announcements echo through corridors without warning. Predictability becomes the framework of survival. For some, this structure reduces chaos. Many women arrive from lives that felt unstable. Housing uncertainty, addiction, unpredictable relationships. Compared to that, prison structure can feel strangely consistent. You know when you'll eat. You know when you'll sleep. You know when the lights will turn off. For others, the same structure magnifies loneliness. Because control also means restriction. Conversations are monitored. Movements are observed. Privacy is minimal. Even silence is shared. Dormitories hold dozens of women in close proximity. Personal space shrinks to the width of a bunk. Relationships form quickly inside confined spaces. Some emotional, some strategic, some rooted simply in shared survival. When time is abundant and options are limited, connection carries weight. A shared meal, a shared story, a shared memory of life before incarceration. Desiree says prison changed her identity. Not overnight, gradually. At first you count the days, she explains. Then you count the months. And eventually you stop counting. When you're here long enough, this becomes normal. That sentence carries weight. Because normalization is powerful. Humans adapt. Routines replace resistance. Schedules replace spontaneity. Rules replace personal choice. Inside long-term incarceration, adaptation becomes a coping mechanism. But adaptation has consequences. The longer someone remains inside structured control, the more foreign independence can feel. Simple decisions, what to eat, where to go, how long to stay, become unfamiliar freedoms. And when the outside world moves quickly, prison moves deliberately. Slow, repetitive, measured. Over time, identity shifts. You are no longer defined by what you do. You are defined by where you are. And the longer someone remains inside, the harder outside life may feel. Paula is a mother of 4. She returned on drug-related charges. She does not deny addiction. I'm an addict, she says plainly. For many women, substance abuse is not separate from their incarceration story. It is central to it. Prison can interrupt addiction, but release tests it. The same environment, the same pressures, the same triggers. Rehabilitation requires more than time served. It requires change outside the walls. And that's where the system struggles most. After 20 years inside, Martha imagines her first night of freedom. She calls it a little bit of heaven. But she also fears it. Technology has changed. Society has changed. Her children have changed. Long-term incarceration reshapes decision-making, confidence, even speech patterns. When every movement has been scheduled for decades, freedom can feel disorienting. The punishment was time, but the consequence may be lifelong adjustment. Purpose. Strong retention, close plus engagement. When the gate closes, punishment begins immediately, but consequences ripple outward. Children grow up without mothers. Families fragment. Cycles continue or break. Some women accept responsibility and change. Some contest their convictions. Some attempt escape. But the larger question remains. Does incarceration repair harm? Or does it simply contain it? And after decades behind walls, can someone truly begin again?